From a strict standpoint of law, it might well be that it was not possible to convene the meeting and therefore not to have public comment. But rather than the thing being wrong, it was just stupid. Because if in fact there's no meeting, then there's nothing to stop people from sitting around the table and just listening. But they didn't want to do that. So this is typical of the kind of silent electrical discharge and smell of ozone that we have in this cell all the time, which in these days where there's not enough money anywhere around is a dumb thing to do. Because when you just generally have a situation of hostility and antagonism and having to bring iron in the shaft of a spear, as King David put it once, to deal with people, it all gets very expensive, even before the lawyers get involved. And the way the Selpa does things is basically makes it necessary for you, to come with your armor and your shield. And what happened in the CAC meeting is just entirely typical. The proper thing is to say, fine, it doesn't look like we can have a meeting, so why don't you all say what you have to say? And then there wouldn't have been any problem. And the advantage of that would have been you would have got a chance to hear from these folks. Now, you don't have to like what you hear from these folks, but you're better off hearing anyway, because even if you don't like it, you can learn something. I've never really been hurt by having to hear from people that I don't like what they have to say. And I'm going to be 60 years old next month, so it's a trend. In general, what's happened with the CAC, which has fueled a lot of resentment and also made it useless, is that the bylaws have been arranged, and everything has been arranged, so that what gets done and said in the CAC is what the Selpa people want done and said, which is very self-defeating, because the whole idea of a CAC, you ought to be able to hear the news, whether it's good or bad. You want to hear the news, and if you don't like it, well, that's how come you have a heat gauge on your car. You want to know if it's overheating. You don't want to turn it off. And it's been turned into the Syrian, the National Assembly of the Syrian Arab Republic, the way it really functions, and nothing can happen. So I'd like to have a different situation here where you say, as obnoxious as these parents are, what can we do to hear from them? And even if we don't agree with them, and they may end up being less obnoxious.